click it over there, you'll notice that it's a bit more yellow than green than it was. So that's how you tell what your texture was. Now you'll notice, right here is a good example. You'll notice over here, it's our green texture that we had before, which is a detail grass 03. And over here, you've got a detail grass 06, which is a bit more yellow, and you've got a nice little transition going on there. And that's probably what you'd see in real life. So if I want to paint in the first layer again, I just simply select layer 1, select it, boom, I've got my detail grass 03, and same idea, go back here, and I got my grass 06. So that's how you can paint. Now let's create a third layer, and this time what we're going to do is we're going to create a third layer. We're going to create something a little bit more like mud or rocks or something like that. And so what we'll do is we'll create our color texture called muddy, and our detailed texture, we should have some mud stuff in there. And so we will we'll bring this down, and we'll find, let's see here, detail, yeah, K-mud, that sounds good. This time though, we're going to bring down our brush size a bit so that we're not painting everything. So we'll just paint our brush size here, and you'll notice now that we have this spot of what looks like dried mud. Now what we're going to do is we're going to back up, and notice now this is a very good indication of exactly what I was talking about, the low detail textures. You can tell right here is our mud, right here is our detail grass 06, and over here is our detail grass 03. This is probably done to save memory, etc. And it allows you to look from a distance and see, okay, yeah, that's where my grass is going to be, or that's where my mud is going to be. So that's pretty much it for texturing. The next thing what we're going to do in this tutorial is we're going to do some rising and lowering of our terrain. So let's go in a bit, and we'll go up to the mini icon and go to modify. Now we're in the mode where we're going to actually increase the size of our terrain. So what we're going to do is we're going to change our brush size here, and we'll change our brush strength down to about half. Now if you left click, you'll notice that the terrain is rising, and we have a little bit of a mound. If I look over here, and let's rise it a bit more, there we go. Okay, so now we got a nice little mound and a nice little textured mound. Now let's put a valley next to it. Now to raise and lower, basically what you want to do is you want to let the left click on the mouse to raise and the right click to actually lower. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease the brush size just a little bit more. Okay, now you'll notice now that we got a nice little hill and a nice little valley next to each other, and they're nicely textured. And if you go into them, yeah, they look nice. So now, one of the things that I asked you to make note of before was the water level. You'll notice that as I lower the terrain here, there's no really water or anything that shows up, and I could lower it immensely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a way that the water. Now we noted that the default terrain height was 25, and I'm assuming that's 25 meters, but it doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the water height to say 20 meters, so that as I lower this terrain here, the water will start showing up. So click on the name of the map, go to water settings, see water level, and we'll set it to 20. And we're going to change the water color to something that's more like water, which is of course a blue. And I'll lower this. And now you'll notice that we have a nice little pool of water here. That's how you set your water level. Now if I go in and I set my water level up to 24, you'll notice that basically a meter below the terrain, which is the level part here, is actually the water. So now that's basically water, a little mound, and a little valley. Now let's look at a few other things here. Let's go to smooth. You'll notice that over here we have some what I call jagged edges. So what you do is you left click here, and you'll notice that it'll actually smooth that transition out so it won't be so sharp. Another one is the level. And now you'll notice that as long as I click here, everything around it with the brush size starts to come up to that level. And notice how when I click here it starts to go down. So what you do is, and that again, combine that with level and smooth, and I can create a nice smooth shoreline. Now, platform is you can raise it down to, again, it's level as you move it. It's wherever you click first, it'll stay level. So again, we now have a nice little flat platform which maybe you could put a building on or whatever. So I think that's pretty much about it for this one. Of course, you would go File and Save All, and that would save everything, all the brushes, the level settings, etc. Oh, actually, before we save that, let's change the sky a bit. So if you look around, you'll notice that we have a particular sky here. And let's go to Level Settings. Whoops, sorry. Light Settings. And we'll come down to get our cloud texture, which will change our clouds, and the sky texture. And we'll change the sky to something else, just to show you basically where it is. And of course, because there's lots of textures there, it's going to take a few minutes to come up, and we'll just change it to that one, and now you see we have a whole new sky. So that's, I think, pretty much about it for this tutorial. Hopefully this has helped everybody. And while I'm talking here, I'll go Save All, so we can save this for the next one, and save everything. So that should be about everything, and that actually will get you your basic terrain, some basic texturing, how to do water, and how to change your sky color. So I'll see you in the next video tutorial.